At 6:42 on a Tuesday morning, Max was standing in his kitchen waiting for his coffee when his phone vibrated. A notification appeared. $10 transferred to savings. That was it. No dramatic investment, no huge paycheck, no complicated financial strategy. Just $10. To most people, $10 seemed almost meaningless. It could disappear on lunch, a few coffees, delivery fees, or something bought online and forgotten a week later. But Max saw it differently. That $10 was another brick in a financial wall he had been quietly building. And the surprising part was that Max wasn't earning a huge salary. For years, almost every dollar he earned already had somewhere to go. Housing, groceries, transportation, insurance, phone service, essential household expenses. Whenever someone told him to save hundreds of dollars every month, Max had the same thought. With what money? Then he discovered something that completely changed his approach. He stopped trying to save an impressive amount. Instead, he created what he called the $10 rule. It had three simple parts: save in tiny units, capture extra money before it disappears, and make consistency more important than motivation. That sounds almost too simple, but Max discovered that financial security doesn't always begin with a large paycheck. Sometimes it begins with protecting the first $10. And by the end of this story, you'll know exactly how Max turned that tiny transfer into a system almost anyone can understand. Before Max created his $10 system, he saved money the way many beginners do. He started with a big goal. One year, Max decided he would save $6,000. He divided that number by 12 and told himself, "I'll save $500 every month." The plan looked perfect on paper. Then, real life arrived. During the first month, Max managed to save most of his target. The second month brought an unexpected repair. Then, a larger utility bill arrived. Then, groceries cost more than he expected. Suddenly, saving $500 didn't feel challenging. It felt impossible. Max skipped a month. Then he told himself he would save twice as much the following month to catch up. That made the goal even harder. Eventually, he stopped completely. A few months later, Max tried again with another ambitious target. The same thing happened. That's when he recognized the real problem. His saving strategy required every month to behave perfectly. But real life wasn't perfect. Expenses changed. Unexpected bills appeared. Some paychecks had more room than others. Max needed a system that could survive an imperfect month. So he changed the question. Instead of asking, "How can I save hundreds of dollars this month?" Max asked, "What amount is small enough that I can repeatedly protect?" His answer was $10. Not because $10 would make him wealthy overnight, because $10 was small enough to repeat. And repetition was exactly what his old plans were missing. Before Max started moving money, he needed to know what he was actually protecting himself from. So one evening, he opened his banking history and calculated his basic monthly survival expenses. He ignored entertainment. He ignored restaurant meals. He ignored upgrades and unnecessary shopping. He counted only the expenses required to keep his life functioning: housing, basic utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, phone service, essential household expenses. After checking several months, Max estimated that he needed approximately $1,700 per month to cover his basic life. His long-term dream was eventually to have enough emergency savings to cover many months, but looking at a huge target made him feel like he was standing at the bottom of a mountain. So Max stopped measuring the mountain. Instead, he divided 1 month of survival into $10 pieces. 1,700 divided by 10 equals 170 bricks. Suddenly, he wasn't staring at $1,700, he was building 170 small bricks. And he didn't need all 170 today. He only needed the next one. This became the first lesson behind Max's system. Break intimidating financial goals into units small enough to act on immediately. If your essential expenses are $2,000, that's $210 bricks. If they're $2,500, that's $250. You can still know the destination, but you don't need to emotionally carry the entire destination every payday. Max would focus on one brick at a time. Max's first rule was extremely simple. Every payday, $10 automatically moved into his emergency savings. He scheduled the transfer for early in the morning, before he started spending. This was important. Previously, Max used the leftover method. He paid everything spent throughout the month and promised himself, whatever remains, I'll save. The problem was predictable. Very little remained. There was always another purchase competing for the money. So Max reversed the process. Saving became one of the first transactions instead of the last. The amount was deliberately small. Max wasn't trying to build his entire emergency fund through that automatic $10 alone. The purpose of the transfer was different. It kept the habit alive. Think about it like keeping an engine running. $10 might not dramatically change your financial position today, but repeatedly making that transfer creates a system. And systems matter because motivation changes. Some weeks you feel disciplined, other weeks you don't. An automatic transfer doesn't care how motivated you feel. Max only needed discipline once, when he created the automation. After that, the system handled the repetition. For beginners, this is an important distinction. Don't build a financial plan that requires you to make the right decision hundreds of times. When possible, make one good decision and automate it. For Max, that decision was simple. Every payday starts with one $10 brick. The automatic $10 transfer created consistency, but Max quickly realized something important. $10 every payday wasn't going to build his emergency fund quickly enough by itself. He needed another engine. That's when he created his second rule. When an expense disappears, part of that money gets redirected towards savings immediately. For example, Max reviewed his monthly subscriptions. He found services he barely used. One cost $20, another cost $10. Another small membership was costing him $30. Previously, if Max canceled a $20 subscription, that $20 simply disappeared into everyday spending. He never felt richer. He couldn't explain where the money went. Under his new system, things worked differently. Cancel a $20 expense, that's two $10 bricks. Reduce a bill by $40, 4 bricks become available. Save $70 by changing a recurring expense, that's 7 bricks. This is where Max's tiny system became surprisingly powerful. He wasn't trying to find hundreds of new dollars every month. He was searching for money already passing through his hands. Then he redirected it. Max started reviewing his largest recurring expenses first, because reducing one meaningful monthly expense could accomplish more than constantly worrying about tiny purchases. The principle was simple. Don't just cut an expense, give the money you saved a new job. Otherwise, the money often finds another place to disappear. A few months later, Max received unexpected money. It wasn't enough to change his life, but it was enough to test his new system. In the past, unexpected money felt different from salary. A refund, bonus, gift, or extra shift felt like permission to spend. Max would think, I wasn't expecting this money anyway, and within days, most of it would be gone. This time, he created a rule. Whenever unexpected money arrived, Max would decide within 24 hours how much could safely be converted into $10 savings bricks. Suppose he received an extra $120. Instead of automatically spending all $120, he might move $60 into savings. That's 6 bricks. If an insurance refund returned $90, perhaps 50 became 5 bricks. If an extra work shift added $150 to his available income after essential expenses, he could choose to protect part of it immediately. The important word is part. Max didn't believe every extra dollar had to be saved. He wanted a system he could actually live with, but he stopped allowing unexpected money to disappear without a decision. That distinction changed everything. Regular $10 transfers maintained the habit. Freed expenses accelerated it. Unexpected money created occasional jumps forward. Together, those three sources worked much better than depending on one large monthly savings target. Max wasn't waiting for the perfect paycheck anymore. He was capturing opportunities whenever they appeared. Several months into the experiment, Max had an expensive month. Transportation costs increased, a household expense appeared unexpectedly. His normal budget became tight. The old Max would have made one of two mistakes. Either he would force himself to save an unrealistic amount and use debt to cover something else, or he would save nothing and decide the entire plan had failed. His new system gave him a third option. Do what you reasonably can, then continue next payday. There was no punishment, no giant catch-up payment, no promise to save triple next month. This became one of Max's most important lessons. Missing part of your savings target does not erase the money you've already saved. Imagine you've built a wall with 80 bricks. If you can't add bricks this week, the existing wall doesn't disappear. It simply waits. Next time you have room, you continue. That mindset prevented Max from repeatedly restarting at zero. He also stopped treating a temporary setback like a permanent identity. Financial plans become much easier to maintain when they contain a recovery mechanism. So, Max created one. Never turn one difficult month into two difficult months by forcing yourself to catch up. Handle your essential expenses. Avoid unnecessary high-interest debt where possible, then restart with the next affordable $10 brick. Consistency doesn't mean everything happens perfectly. It means you keep returning to the system. Max's system eventually faced a real test. One afternoon, his car began making an unusual grinding sound. He took it to a repair shop. After an inspection, the mechanic gave him the bad news. The repair would cost several $100s. A year earlier, a bill like that would have completely changed Max's month. He would have moved expenses around, delayed something, possibly used a credit card, then spent weeks trying to recover. But this time, Max had money sitting in his emergency savings account. He paid for the repair, his savings balance dropped, and then something strange happened. Nothing else happened. There was no financial emergency after the emergency. That was when Max finally understood what he was building. The goal wasn't simply to see a large number inside a banking app. The goal was to make ordinary problems less destructive. Emergency savings turns some crises into expenses. That's a huge difference. A broken car can still be frustrating, a medical bill can still hurt, a home repair can still be expensive, but having cash available can prevent one problem from creating several more through credit card interest, late payments, or missed bills. Max realized his emergency fund didn't need to be finished before it became useful. Even $300 could handle certain problems. $500 could handle more. $1,000 creates another level of protection. Every $10 brick increased the distance between Max and financial panic. That was the real return. Max had a friend named Daniel who earned roughly the same amount. Daniel wanted to improve his finances too, but Daniel's strategy was completely different. He decided he would save $500 every month. The first month went well. So did the second. Daniel felt unstoppable. Then an expensive month arrived. He couldn't save $500. Instead of reducing the amount, he skipped a transfer. Then he told himself he would save $1,000 next month to catch up. That didn't happen either. Eventually, Daniel stopped saving. A few months later, he became motivated again and restarted the same plan. Max noticed the pattern because he had lived through it himself. The problem wasn't that Daniel lacked discipline. The problem was that Daniel's system only had two settings: perfect or failed. Max's system had dozens of settings. A difficult period might mean only the basic automatic $10. A better month might allow several bricks. Canceling an unnecessary expense could create more. Extra income could accelerate progress again. This flexibility was Max's advantage. He wasn't trying to win every month. He was trying to stay in the game for years. That's a useful lesson for beginners. A smaller plan you can continue is often more valuable than an impressive plan you repeatedly abandon. Your savings amount can grow later. First, build a behavior that survives real life. As Max's emergency fund grew, another question became important. Where should the money actually live? Max knew an emergency fund needed to be accessible. This wasn't money he wanted locked away in something volatile. If his car broke tomorrow, he might need the money tomorrow. So Max kept his emergency savings separate from his everyday spending account in an interest-bearing savings account that allowed him to access the money when genuinely needed. Keeping it separate solved two problems. First, Max was less tempted to spend it. When savings sits beside your normal spending money, the balance can create the illusion that you have more available than you actually do. Second, his money could earn some interest while waiting. But Max understood something important. Interest wasn't the main purpose of this account. Safety was. Investing in emergency savings served different jobs. Long-term investments can be appropriate for money you don't expect to need for years and can involve market risk. Emergency savings need stability and accessibility. Max also learned not to obsess over tiny differences between accounts before starting. Beginners sometimes spend weeks searching for the perfect account while saving nothing. Max preferred this order. Start the habit, build the first layer of protection, learn about account options, then optimize. The perfect savings account containing $0 still protects you less than a reasonable account you've actually started funding. If Max were sitting beside you right now, he wouldn't tell you to completely rebuild your finances tonight. He would give you 3 actions. First, calculate your basic monthly survival number. Count housing, basic food, utilities, insurance, necessary transportation, minimum required debt payments, and other genuine essentials. Don't include the lifestyle you wish to maintain. Calculate the amount required to keep your basic life functioning. Then divide that number by $10. If your essentials equal $1,800, your first month of protection equals 180 bricks. Second, automate one $10 transfer around payday. If $10 per payday genuinely creates a problem, choose an amount your budget can safely support rather than borrowing money just to follow a rule. The principle matters more than the exact number. Third, create a conversion habit. Whenever you permanently reduce an expense, ask, how many $10 bricks did I just free? Whenever unexpected money arrives, decide within 24 hours what portion should go toward your financial foundation, then transfer it before everyday spending absorbs it. One important warning: if your essential expenses are consistently greater than your income, saving harder won't solve the entire problem. Your first priority may need to include increasing income, reducing major expenses, seeking available assistance, or restructuring debt. Max's rule works best when there is at least some positive cash flow to protect. The goal isn't to make struggling people feel guilty. It's to give available dollars a clear purpose. Months after starting, Max found himself standing in the same kitchen where his experiment began. Morning light came through the window, the coffee machine was running, his phone vibrated. Another automatic transfer had completed. $10. The number still looked small, but Max wasn't the same person looking at it. He understood what that $10 represented. It wasn't a promise that he'd become rich overnight. It wasn't a shortcut. It was proof that his financial future no longer depended entirely on motivation. Behind that single transfer were all the other bricks: the subscriptions he canceled, the unexpected money he captured, the extra income he partially saved, the months when he moved forward quickly, and the difficult months when he barely moved at all but refused to quit. Max had finally stopped asking, "How do I save a huge amount of money?" His question became, "What's the next financial action I can actually complete?" That is the lesson of the $10 rule. Start small enough that starting isn't intimidating. Automate what you can. Capture money when expenses disappear. Protect part of unexpected income. Keep emergency money accessible. And when life interrupts your progress, don't destroy the plan trying to catch up. Simply continue. Your first $10 won't transform your financial life, but the system you build around that $10 might. So here's Max's challenge. Before today ends, find your first brick. Move $10 if your budget safely allows, then build the next one. You don't have to build the entire wall today. You only have to build the next brick. If you want more beginner-friendly money strategies with Max, subscribe to Max's Finance Academy. Give this video a thumbs up, and keep building your financial future one smart decision at a time.